It was the strangest request I've ever gotten from her, but in hindsight, maybe I should have seen it coming. Sofia didn't exactly communicate well when something bothered her, but she had a way of giving me little tests. Little games. She wasn't the type to yell or storm out of the house. She was quiet, calculating, and when something started to eat at her, she'd wait until I least expected it to drop a bombshell. And when she did, it always hit harder than anything I could have prepared for. But this time, the bombshell was different. I walked into the kitchen that night, looking forward to our usual dinner routine. The smell of pasta hit me as I stepped over the threshold, but something wasn't right. She was sitting at the table, her hands folded neatly in front of her, staring at me like she was about to deliver a message from the future. Her gaze was piercing, like she was trying to gauge my reaction before she even said a word. "Sit down," she said, her voice eerily calm. I glanced at the clock. It was just past 8 p.m. Nothing unusual, but the way she was staring at me, it wasn't the look of a wife preparing dinner for her husband. It was the look of someone about to change everything. I pulled out a chair and sat across from her. My stomach knotted. I knew this wasn't just another casual conversation. "What's going on?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Sofia didn't waste time. She didn't beat around the bush. "I need you to prove to me that you're still the man I married. And I'm giving you exactly 1 week." The words hung in the air like a thick fog. I blinked, unsure if I had heard her right. "What do you mean, prove? Prove what?" She leaned back in her chair, arms crossed. "You've become complacent, Ben. I don't feel like I matter to you anymore. I'm not asking for grand gestures or things that are impossible, but I need you to show me that you're still invested in this relationship. Show me that you still care. And I need it to be done within a week. If you can't, then I think we'll be done for good." Her words sent a chill down my spine. She wasn't shouting. She wasn't crying. It wasn't even a heated argument. She was calm, controlled, and everything she said felt like a verdict, not a request. A week? What the hell was I supposed to do in a week to fix everything? We hadn't been perfect, sure, but nothing seemed so bad that it couldn't be worked through. At least, that's what I thought. I don't understand," I said, still trying to process what she was asking. "Why now? What happened?" She shook her head, a small, sad smile crossing her lips. "You've stopped showing up for me, Ben. I've tried to talk to you about it, but it's like you weren't listening. And now I'm just done talking. I need to feel like I'm still important to you. If I don't, I can't keep doing this." My mind raced. How had I missed all the signs? Had I really been that blind? I wanted to say something comforting, to tell her everything would be okay, but instead, the words caught in my throat. She had made up her mind. "You'll have 1 week," she repeated, her tone more final than before. "After that, if nothing changes, we'll part ways. And that's that." I wanted to fight it. I wanted to argue, to beg her to reconsider, but I could see in her eyes that she wasn't just asking for change, she was demanding it. And this wasn't a typical talk things out kind of situation. No, this was an ultimatum. And she meant it. I was left sitting there, stunned, as she stood up and walked away from the table, leaving me in the silence of our kitchen. My mind was a mess, a swirling vortex of doubt and confusion. A week? How could I possibly prove myself in a week? What did she want from me? That night, I couldn't sleep. I tossed and turned, replaying the conversation over and over in my head. How had we gotten here? How had I missed the signs? I thought everything was fine. But now, I was fighting against a clock I didn't even know I was up against. And little did I know, that week would change everything. The next few days felt like a blur. Every morning I woke up, I had this crushing weight on my chest, the knowledge that Sofia was giving me exactly 1 week to prove something. To prove that I wasn't just going through the motions in our relationship, that I wasn't complacent, that I still cared. But how could I prove something that was so intangible? What did she really want from me? I tried to talk to her about it, but she was distant, cold even. The warmth that had once been there in our interactions was slowly being replaced by an uncomfortable silence, one that seemed to echo louder with every passing hour. I started noticing things I hadn't before, small things, like how she used to laugh at the jokes I made, and now barely cracked a smile. How her eyes didn't light up when she saw me. The way she would look away quickly when I tried to hold her hand. It was like she had already made her decision, and I was just a part of the process. But what was I supposed to do? How was I supposed to fix this? I began overthinking everything. I bought her flowers, something I hadn't done in months, hoping it would spark some sort of emotional response. I planned a nice dinner, set the table, and even tried to recreate the meal we had on our first date. But when she sat down at the table, there was no spark. She picked at the food and barely said a word. "You didn't have to do all this," she said quietly, not meeting my eyes. I wanted to show you that I care," I replied, trying to keep the desperation out of my voice. She nodded, but it was hollow. There was no warmth behind her gesture, no appreciation, just the faintest trace of regret in her eyes, like she was wondering why we were still here. Why was I still trying? That night, I went to bed feeling like a failure. I had done everything she asked, but nothing seemed to be working. The one-week deadline was weighing on me, and it was like everything I did only made things worse. I could feel the gap between us growing wider, and every attempt I made to bridge it only seemed to drive us further apart. The next day, I woke up to an empty bed. It was odd. Sofia was always an early riser, but she hadn't woken me up with her usual routine. No soft kisses on the cheek, no morning banter. I went downstairs, hoping to find her in the kitchen, but she wasn't there. I checked her office, the living room. No sign of her. I sent her a text. "Hey, where are you? Everything okay?" No reply. The minutes stretched into hours. I felt like I was going crazy. What was happening? Why was she avoiding me? Was she already planning to leave? My mind kept racing, wondering if I had done something wrong. Maybe the flowers weren't enough. Maybe the dinner was too forced. Around lunchtime, I got a call from her. Her voice sounded off, almost like she had been crying. "Ben, I need to talk to you. Can you come to the park? Please." The park? It didn't make sense. We hadn't gone there together in years. It was a place we'd visited when we first started dating, a place that held memories of better times. But why there? What did she want to talk about? I drove there in a daze, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. I couldn't shake the feeling that this was the beginning of the end. Maybe she was going to tell me it was over, that one week was up and I had failed. The thought made my stomach churn. When I got to the park, I saw her sitting on a bench, staring at the ground. The sight of her made my heart sink. She looked so small, so fragile, like everything that had ever mattered to her was slipping away. As I approached, she looked up, but her eyes were empty. No tears, no warmth, just that cold, distant look that had been haunting me for days. "Ben, I've been thinking," she started, her voice trembling slightly. "I don't know if I can keep doing this." My heart dropped into my stomach. This was it. This was the moment. "You don't have to do anything if you don't want to," I said, my voice cracking. "Just tell me what you need. I'll do whatever it takes." She shook her head slowly, and for a second, I thought I saw something, some flicker of the woman I had fallen in love with. But it was gone as quickly as it appeared. "I don't know if you can fix this, Ben," she said quietly. "I don't know if I even want you to. The last few months have been difficult. I've been so unhappy, and I don't want to keep pretending everything is fine. I need something more from you. Something real. I need to feel like I'm not invisible." My chest tightened. This wasn't just about a lack of affection. It was about me losing her. It was about me not being able to recognize how much I had hurt her until it was too late. "So, what do you want me to do?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She sighed and looked away, her gaze falling on the ground. "I don't know if there's anything left to do. I don't know if I can feel anything for you anymore." And just like that, my entire world felt like it was shattering around me. She didn't give me any more details. No answers. She just stood up and walked away, leaving me standing there, alone, in the park, with nothing but the sound of the wind in the trees to keep me company. I had no idea what was happening anymore. I had no idea how to fix things. But one thing was clear. The clock was ticking, and time was running out. The next morning, I woke up early, hoping to do something, anything, to fix what seemed irreparably broken. I couldn't stop thinking about the conversation at the park. I'd never felt so helpless in my life. Sofia's words were still echoing in my mind. "I don't know if I can feel anything for you anymore." I had 1 week to make things right, and already, it felt like I was losing her. But what if it wasn't too late? What if I could still turn things around? I decided to act. I couldn't just sit back and wait for some miracle to happen. I needed to show Sofia that I wasn't just talking, I was committed to changing. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized how little I actually understood her anymore. What did she need? What was going to make her see that I was still the man she had fallen in love with? That afternoon, I decided to ask her directly. I couldn't keep guessing and failing. If I was going to salvage anything from this, I had to know the truth, no matter how much it hurt. I texted her, "Sophia, can we talk? Please, I need to understand." She replied almost immediately, "I don't know if there's anything left to say, Ben." But she agreed to meet me again. This time, it was at the coffee shop near our apartment, a place that used to be our favorite spot. We used to go there every Saturday morning for breakfast. But now, it felt foreign, like an old memory I couldn't quite hold on to. When I arrived, Sophia was already there, sitting at a corner table, staring out the window. She didn't even look up when I walked in. My heart sank. Was she already checked out? I sat across from her, but the usual spark was missing. There was no smile, no warmth in her eyes. Just that same emptiness I had seen in the park. "Hey," I said softly, trying to find the right words. "I've been thinking a lot about what you said, about needing something real. I want to understand, Sophia. I want to make things right." She took a deep breath, but didn't say anything at first. Then, she looked at me, her gaze piercing. "I've been patient, Ben. I've tried to tell you over and over again how I've been feeling. But it's like you don't hear me. You haven't been here, really. You've been physically here, but not emotionally. I don't feel seen, I don't feel heard, and I can't keep pretending like I'm okay with it." Her words hit me harder than I expected. I always thought I was doing enough. I thought that being there, paying the bills, keeping up with the routine, was enough. But I was wrong. I hadn't been listening. I hadn't been truly present. I tried to explain, to make her see that I was still invested, that I still loved her. But she interrupted me before I could finish. "Ben, it's not just about love. Love isn't enough if it's one-sided. I need someone who sees me for who I am, not just someone who's there because it's easy. I need a partner, not a roommate." The weight of her words crushed me. It was like a veil had been lifted. I realized I had been so focused on my own routine, my own comfort, that I hadn't seen how much I had been neglecting her, how much she had been drowning in a relationship that had stopped giving her what she needed. I sat there in stunned silence, trying to figure out what to say, but nothing came. What could I say? How could I explain years of complacency in a single conversation? "I don't know if I can give you what you need anymore," Sophia said quietly, her voice almost breaking. "I don't know if we can fix this." Her words felt like a punch in the gut. I had 1 week. 1 week to prove that I could change, that I could be the man she needed. But I wasn't sure I could do it anymore. Was it too late? Had I already lost her? Just as I was about to say something, to beg her to give me another chance, Sophia stood up abruptly. "I can't do this right now," she said, turning to leave. "I need space, Ben." And with that, she walked out, leaving me alone at the table. The coffee was still sitting there, cold. The conversation was over, and I was left with nothing but the empty cup and the bitter realization that I had no idea what to do next. I had 1 week, but I didn't know where to start. Everything I had tried so far had failed. And now, it seemed like even she was starting to give up on me. I didn't sleep much that night. Sophia's words kept playing on repeat in my head. "I don't know if we can fix this." The more I thought about it, the more I realized how deep the divide between us had become. She needed something from me that I had failed to see for too long. The next morning, I woke up determined. If I had any chance of saving this, I had to act differently. I couldn't just do the same things and expect different results. I needed to be more than just reactive. I needed to be proactive. I needed to show her that I was truly invested in not just making things right, but in understanding why everything had gone wrong in the first place. I thought back to the early days of our relationship. When we first met, I was different. I was attentive, curious, always asking her about her day, her feelings. But over time, I had let the mundane grind of life take over. It was easy to get comfortable, to stop trying, but I now understood that that's when the cracks had started to form. The idea hit me like a bolt of lightning. I need to listen more. I need to really listen. Not just hear her, but understand. I decided to send Sophia a message. "I know I've been failing you, but I want to understand. Can we talk tonight? Just us, no distractions." She replied almost immediately. "I don't know if that's a good idea, Ben. Please," I wrote back. "I just want to listen. No more talking over you. No more pretending everything is fine. I need to understand why we're here, why we've drifted." To my surprise, she agreed. That evening, we met at the park again, the same place where it had all started to unravel. I didn't know why she had agreed to meet me there, but I could tell she was hesitant, as though she was bracing herself for something. I found her sitting on the same bench where we had talked days earlier. Her posture was stiff, guarded. She wasn't looking at me when I sat down beside her. "I'm here," I said, my voice soft. "And I'm listening. You don't have to say anything you don't want to, but I just need you to know that I'm ready to hear it." She didn't speak at first. There was a long, uncomfortable silence. I could hear the faint rustling of leaves in the wind, the distant hum of traffic. But her silence felt like an impenetrable wall between us. Finally, she spoke. "Ben," Sophia's voice trembled slightly. "I don't know when it happened, but somewhere along the way, I stopped feeling like you were on my side. Like we were a team. I felt like I was just existing beside you. And that's not enough. I want to feel like I matter again. I want to feel wanted. Not just as your wife, but as a person, as someone who deserves your attention, your love, your effort." Her words hit me harder than I expected. I had always believed that if I was there physically, if I did what I was supposed to do, that would be enough. But I had failed to realize the most important part, the emotional connection, the effort beyond just being there. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice cracking as I reached for her hand. She didn't pull away, but she didn't immediately hold it either. There was a hesitation in her touch. "I know you are," she replied quietly. "But saying sorry doesn't change anything, Ben. I need to see that you care. That you're not just trying to fix this because of some deadline. I need to feel like I'm your priority, not just an afterthought." I felt like I was losing her for good. The clock was ticking down, and the more I heard her talk, the more I understood how much damage I had done. It wasn't just about not paying enough attention. It was about taking her for granted, assuming that the love we shared would be enough to carry us through. But love, I was learning the hard way, was never enough on its own. I had a million thoughts racing through my mind, but none of them seemed right. What could I say? How could I convince her that I could be better, that I could give her what she needed? What was the point of telling her things I had already told her before? She turned her gaze towards me, her eyes softening just slightly. "You're not the man I married anymore, Ben. Not the way I remember him. But I'm not sure if I want him back. I want someone who's willing to grow, someone who will fight for me. But that's the thing. I don't even know if I can wait around for that." Her words sent a shock through me. Could I change in time? Could I grow into the man she needed in just a few days? I was running out of time, and I had no idea how to make her see that I was ready to fight for us. "I'll do whatever it takes," I said, my voice filled with desperation. "I swear, Sophia, I'm willing to change. I'll prove to you that I can be the man you deserve." She sighed, looking away. "I don't know if that's enough anymore, Ben." The silence returned, thick and heavy. And as she stood up to leave, I couldn't shake the feeling that, no matter what I did, I might have already lost her. I couldn't shake off the weight of that conversation. Sophia had just walked away from me again, and I felt like I was drowning in the silence she left behind. She had told me she wasn't sure if she could wait for me to change, if I could even change in time. And deep down, I knew she was right. I had only days left, and nothing I had done seemed to be enough. The next few days were the longest of my life. Every interaction with Sophia felt like I was walking on eggshells. She was colder, more distant. I could tell she was thinking about something, but every time I tried to bring it up, she shut down. I felt like I was losing her more with every passing hour. I tried everything. I called her more. I left her thoughtful notes. Even tried to recreate the first date we ever had. But nothing worked. Every time I thought I was getting through to her, she would pull further away. The clock was ticking, and I had no idea how to stop it. One evening, I decided to take a different approach. I had no more grand gestures left. No more distractions. I needed to do something real, something that would show her I was willing to face the truth. No more hiding behind flowers or meaningless apologies. So I sat down and wrote her a letter. It wasn't eloquent or poetic. It was raw, honest, and vulnerable. I poured everything I felt into it. My fears, my regrets, and most of all, my love for her. I admitted everything I had taken for granted. I told her that I hadn't been present, that I had assumed things would just work out without putting in the effort. And I asked for her forgiveness, not in a way that begged for her to stay, but in a way that showed her that I was ready to truly listen, to understand, and to change. I didn't know if she would even read it, but I left the letter on the kitchen table for her. My heart raced as I waited for her to come home. When she walked in, she didn't say anything. She just picked up the letter and sat down at the table, her face unreadable. I waited, my breath caught in my chest as she slowly read through every word I had written. The silence between us was suffocating. I didn't know what to expect, whether she would tear the letter up, walk out, or just stay silent forever. But then she looked up at me, and for the first time in days, I saw something. A crack in the wall. A flicker of the woman I once knew. "Ben," she said quietly, her voice softer than I had heard in weeks. This is the first time you've really gotten it. The first time I feel like you actually see me. But it's not enough. Not yet." Her words stung, but I understood. I wasn't there yet. I had a lot more to prove, but at least she was still listening. "I know," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "But I'll keep trying. I promise." She nodded slowly, standing up. "I don't know what the future holds for us, Ben. I don't know if we'll ever be the same again. But this is a start. And maybe that's enough for now." I watched her leave the room again, her footsteps fading away as I sat there, staring at the empty chair across from me. The week was almost over. Time was running out, but for the first time in days, I felt a flicker of hope. Maybe it wasn't too late after all. The week was almost over, and I felt like I was living on borrowed time. Every minute spent with Sofia was a reminder that everything was hanging by a thread. Her words, "Maybe that's enough for now," echoed in my mind, but I knew deep down that they didn't mean everything was okay. It wasn't enough. It never would be unless I showed her I was capable of more than empty promises. I kept telling myself I had one final chance to prove myself, but what could I possibly do to change her mind in such a short time? I couldn't rewrite the past. I couldn't undo the mistakes I had made. All I could do was show her that I was willing to fight for us. But every time I thought I had a breakthrough, another wall would go up. The days dragged on, and the tension between us reached its peak. I could see the exhaustion in her eyes, the weight of everything she had been carrying, everything we hadn't fixed. The emotional distance between us felt wider than ever, and I wasn't sure how much longer I could stand it. On the 7th day, I woke up early, determined to make one last push. I had no idea what Sofia's final decision would be, but I was done waiting. I needed to show her, once and for all, that I wasn't the man I had been when all of this started. But what I didn't expect was that the day would take a turn I could never have predicted. I spent the morning trying to figure out what would really make a difference. What could possibly make Sofia feel something again, make her see that I was worthy of her love? The more I thought about it, the more I realized it wasn't about big gestures or flashy acts. It was about me being real, honest, vulnerable. If I was going to prove myself, it had to be with the raw truth. I sat down and started writing another letter. But this one wasn't just an apology. It wasn't just about asking for forgiveness. It was about me finally acknowledging the truth. I had been selfish. I had taken her for granted. I wrote about the times I should have been more present, the moments I overlooked, the things I thought were unimportant but had actually been vital. I admitted to every single thing that had caused this breakdown between us. I wanted to tell her everything. But when I finished writing, I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't doing enough. There was something missing. A piece of the puzzle that I had yet to find. I decided to take a risk. I wasn't sure how Sofia would react, but at that point, I had nothing left to lose. I drove to the place where we first met, the little bookstore tucked away on a quiet street. It was silly, but I thought that maybe the memories we shared there, the laughter, the late-night conversations, could help rekindle something between us. I thought if I could just get her to see the person she had fallen in love with, the one I still wanted to be, maybe it would make a difference. I texted Sofia, asking her to meet me there. "Please," I added, "just one last time." Her reply was brief, "I'll be there." When I arrived, I was a bundle of nerves. I had no plan, no idea what I was expecting. I just wanted to be honest, to give her something real. She showed up right on time, standing in front of the bookstore with her arms crossed, her face unreadable. "You really think this is going to fix everything?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Her words weren't angry, just tired. So very tired. I took a deep breath. "I'm not trying to fix everything, Sofia. I just want you to know that I'm willing to keep trying. I don't want to lose you." She stared at me for a long moment, the silence stretching between us like an unspoken distance. Then, she stepped closer. "I don't know if I can keep waiting for you to change, Ben. I don't know if I can keep hoping that things will be different." Her words hit me harder than anything else she had said. I had been fighting, trying to show her I was still the man she once loved. But now, in this quiet, vulnerable moment, I realized that I might have already lost her. I could see it in her eyes. She wasn't angry. She wasn't even disappointed. She was just resigned. I stepped forward, reaching out for her hand. I'm sorry. I know I've messed up, but I need you to understand that I'm trying. I will change, but I can't do it without you. Please. Sofia didn't pull away, but she didn't reach for me either. She simply looked down at her feet, the weight of everything between us hanging in the air. Finally, she spoke, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know what to do anymore, Ben. I really don't. And just like that, everything I had worked for, everything I had hoped for, seemed to slip through my fingers. The next few days felt like a never-ending storm, each moment dragging me further from the person I thought I was. Sofia's words echoed in my mind. I don't know what to do anymore. I couldn't shake the feeling that I had lost her, that no matter how much I tried, it would never be enough. We were strangers now, and the love I once thought was unshakable seemed like a distant memory. The woman I had fallen in love with was still there, but she was slipping through my fingers. Time was running out, and I was desperate for a breakthrough. But everything I tried felt hollow. She had pulled away, and now, it felt like we were two people walking parallel paths, but never meeting. I knew that the week she had given me was nearly up. I reached out to her, but she didn't respond the way I had hoped. She was distant, almost cold. I could feel her wall growing higher with each passing day, and the more I tried to climb it, the more she retreated into herself. One night, I found myself sitting in our living room, staring at the picture frames on the wall. The images of happier times. A vacation we had taken to the coast, our wedding day, the first anniversary. Memories that once felt alive and vibrant now felt empty. The love I had once believed would carry us through anything seemed fragile now, like it was all held together by fragile strings that were about to snap. I knew that I had to face the truth. I wasn't the man I had once been, and maybe Sofia wasn't the person I thought she was either. The realization hit me hard. We were both broken in our own ways, and no amount of pretending could change that. The night before the deadline, I went to bed with a heavy heart. I didn't know what Sofia would say in the morning. I didn't know if I would even get another chance to fight for us. But what I did know was that I had given it my all. I had tried to show her I could change. I had done everything I thought would bring us back together. But maybe some things can't be fixed. Maybe people grow apart, and no matter how much you fight, it's just too late. At 6 a.m., I woke to a text. It was from Sofia. Can we talk? I felt a surge of hope, followed by immediate fear. This could be it. This could be the moment where everything changes, or it could be the end. I didn't know which. I replied quickly, I'm here, whenever you're ready. She called me a few minutes later. Her voice was shaky, and I could tell she had been crying. Ben, I think we need to be honest with each other, she said, her words coming out in a rush. I don't know what's left for us. I don't know if I can keep pretending. Her words hit me like a slap to the face. I had seen this coming, but hearing her say it out loud felt like a cold wave crashing over me. The pain was sharp, unexpected, and overwhelming. I understand, I said quietly. I had no fight left in me. I had given everything I had, and now it seemed like it wasn't enough. Sofia sighed. I wish things could be different, but I think we're just too far gone. I don't feel the way I used to about you, Ben, and I don't think I ever will again. Her words cut deeper than anything else. She wasn't angry. She wasn't blaming me. But in that moment, I knew it was over. The love she had for me had faded, and nothing I could do would bring it back. I'm sorry, I whispered. It was all I could say. I'm sorry too, she replied, and for the first time in days, I could hear the sadness in her voice. She didn't say much more after that. We hung up, and I sat there, the silence enveloping me like a heavy blanket. It was over. We were over. The days following Sofia's call were a blur. The house, once filled with the echoes of laughter and shared moments, now felt eerily quiet. But despite the crushing pain of knowing we were no longer together, I couldn't deny a strange sense of clarity that had settled in me. There was no going back to what we were. But maybe that wasn't the point. I spent the first few days in a fog, processing everything. All the mistakes I had made, the things I should have done differently, the moments I should have paid more attention to. I was broken, but I had learned something important in the process. Maybe I hadn't been the husband I thought I was, but I was learning how to be a better version of myself. Not for Sofia, but for me. And then, after a week of silence, I received a text from her. It was short, just a few words. I've been thinking. Can we meet up? Just talk? I didn't hesitate. I knew this wasn't an attempt to get back together. It was something more, something necessary. We met at the same coffee shop we used to frequent, the place that now held so many memories of what we had and what we lost. I could see in her eyes that she had been doing her own thinking, her own healing. She wasn't the same person who had walked out on me days ago. Neither was I. Ben, she said, her voice softer than it had been in weeks. I think we both needed this space to figure out who we are outside of what we were. I nodded, feeling the weight of her words. I agree. I'm not the same person I was, and I'm still learning who I am. I've realized that I wasn't giving you what you needed, and I'm sorry. I should have done better. She smiled, a small, genuine smile that reached her eyes. It's not all on you, Ben. I made mistakes too. I stopped communicating, stopped letting you in. I didn't know how to fix it. We talked for hours, not about our failed relationship, but about what we had learned and what we wanted for ourselves. It was clear that we had both changed, and that's when I realized something important. Sometimes, endings are just the beginning of something else. I don't know where this goes, Sofia said as the conversation began to wind down. But I do know that I'm better now, and I hope you are too. I am, I replied, feeling a weight lift off my chest. I'm not perfect, but I'm getting there. We didn't make promises about the future, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was in a place where I could truly grow. And whether that meant a future with Sofia or a path that led us in different directions, I knew one thing for sure. I had finally learned what it meant to listen, to love, and to be present. As we stood up to leave, there was no dramatic reconciliation, no passionate kiss, no declarations. But there was something better, understanding. We were both at peace. And that was enough.